It will make him put on weight, that he accumulates fats inside the arteries, that he is losing to, I am at this moment of my life. I will confess to you, regaining the flexibility of my body, which I was losing over time, which he was losing with the routine. Try to be in conquers, without holding on anything, without fear of making mistakes. 90% of people can no longer do, because it is not a position we do more. We were creating facilities. Our car, it is adapted to give you a lot of comfort for you to use less efforts. Only this has a cost. We are losing flexibility, we are stiff. And then unfortunately, when we are stiffened, when our muscles are stiff, our joints are more likely to be injured. Because we no longer have the flexibility of movement. The muscles, it should be strong and flexible. There are people who only have the strong muscles, flexibility. There are people who have good flexibility, but some muscle mass is missing. It has a lot of adipose fabric. I'm not talking about aesthetics, see, guys? No, you have the right to be as you want, and be comfortable on you the way you well understand. But put some flexibility in your body and you will see how it thanks you with less pain. Most of us have lower back pain. You can't squat that you get all crooked. Try to get something and say, oh, I locked. Raise never again, because the potential of the body, it exists, is hidden, is very hidden within us. That is why it is good that you have a physical activity that exercised, that stimulates muscle strength and flexibility. The mind, the same thing. I can have a quiet mind. Serene? Her potential is this. You are not born distressed. You were not born mentally conflicted. If all your needs were met at the right time, you would stay there in the Mersenho breathing correctly. There comes a time when our anxiety is so great that it changes to our breath. It is impressive how even our body suffers the consequences of a disordered mind. The further the deep breath, the one that is taken since, from the base of your abdomen, which goes up, rising, climbing to your head. This is the breath that has a huge power to oxygenate everything, including your thoughts. The potential of the mind is inside, but it is asleep. Thanks for the opportunity to enter your home, to come into your life, to talk to you, to talk to your family. We believe the place of conversion is our heart. Maybe since childhood we have heard that our heart needs to be transformed, isn't it? That our heart needs to be renewed, converted. Even though everything we know, everything that happens in our life is ordered by the brain. The heart has always had a very strong symbolic language to be the center of all that we are. If you want to speak in a depth of yourself, you use your heart. The heart is a place where God needs to have no obstacle to speak to us clearly. Why do we put these obstacles? Our sin often, it gives us obstacles within us that will then create an enmity between what is good for ourselves. It's impressive, as we sometimes find people who are being enemies of themselves, because this is possible. Just do not filter the voices that speak to your heart. We use this expression a lot, right? This text spoke to my heart. This book spoke to my heart. That image spoke to my heart. That's it. She had effective power over me. She had an authority over me. When you use the expression that the other has hurt your heart, or when you want to highlight the value the other has in your life, you say that he lives in your heart. Yes, the heart is a territory of high symbolic value in our lives. This is why we always say that God's entry into our lives is through the heart, the center, for all that we are. God does not enter the secondary doors. He prefers the main entrance, is our heart. Be very careful, the word hurts. And if she comes from a person we love, she hurts even more. Why? For the heart is a territory where we put those who have authority upon us. Therefore, the heart is much more than we think it is. The heart is the populated territory, the city where many people dwell within US. And as every city has its rides, we need to put these rides in the right place. Because your heart is a holy territory. Your heart is a territory that deserves all reverence. Your heart is a territory that deserves all vigilance. Jesus already caught the attention that we had to watch and pray. Pray is an attitude that puts us in daily consonance with the Lord. And surveillance, the observance so that we do not lose the ability to identify who the friends of our hearts are. Who are the people who are in fact collaborating so that we can make our hearts more and more pure, so that God have the opportunity to speak in Him and through Him in me. Sometimes we get upset with something that the other tells us, and this annoyance will take as much as the other is important to us. Have you observed this? That sometimes you received a hurt there, a word that was difficult for you to digest, a slander that someone has done to you. The weather erases it. In a moment, the other comes to ask you forgiveness. You don't even remember why she stayed or that you were upset with her, because in fact, the bond was not so narrow. Now, if it's someone we love from the heart, if it's someone who has effective authority over us, this hurt can hurt us very deeply and can hurt us for a long time. We need to comb the fine comb to see if we are saying amen to people who are really committed to our conversion process. Many times we cannot come to the knowledge of God is because the amen that we are humanly telling people who have an influence on us does not favor us, or even people who are not committed to our growth, of people who are not interested in our liberation. It's amazing how people with the gift of strengthening what is weak in us, to become even worse than what we are. And then comes the conversion of the heart, my people. If we do not have the courage to look at the relationships we have, to the people who have authority over us, and to identify that person is playing in my life the same role that Jesus plays, which is to free me. Who's it to become better? And what are the people in our life that further accentuate our weaknesses? This is what we are talking about. And then we started to be selective, not in the sense of being prejudiced and throwing each other away. No, it's not about this. Our conversion process must happen above all in the conscience of this humility. We are no better than others, but we have the right to delimit space. And who will exercise this authority upon us from today? This effective authority, this voice that dictates to my heart who I am and who I stop being, must be with the symbol of faith. Love may be it, right? The opportunity we have to assimilate the other to know it by heart. Just as a mother looks all the time to her son who brought into the world, we know that in the first few weeks, the mother cannot look at anything but to the newborn she has in her arms. An exercise of love, as if you wanted to know all those color features, as if you wanted to decorate that face to never forget it again. As a photograph cannot record so deeply what a mother's look can. By the way, I find that fantastic. The mother is the woman who first saw us in life. The mother is the first woman who looked at us calmly with delays. It is that woman who took her look at us to know by heart. It is the human exercise of understanding what is divine. It's because the word of the other has authority over you. That's why I always say that a mother, when she puts a child in the world, a father, when she puts a child in the world, needs to be very careful about what she will say to this child, because his word will have authority over his son. Many children are traumatized because they heard from people who were their safe haven unfortunate sentences which they depreciated, who diminished. São Paulo has a very interesting passage in which he speaks of this intimate enemy like a thorn in the flesh. Of course, he is talking about his weakness. The angel of Satan who screams day and night. He says in me, what is this thorn? Human weakness? I know very well that this inability to say not what is self-destructive is a declared manifestation of lack of love. It's just that my people, self-love works as an immunity. Self-love works in our emotional life in the same way as immunity in disease prevention. When a person has a good deal of self-love, when he manages this zeal daily, this person will think 2, 3 times before taking a self-destructive behavior. This is true for relationships. How many people you find for life with self-destructive relationships, surrendering to a non-love, a relationship of possession, but because it is stopping to love itself, it surrenders to that relationship. And it's unfortunate. When self-love is down, we become an easy prey for addictions. Maybe you are needing to take a look at your friendships. It is very dangerous for you to identify that in your friendship cycle. That is, people who exercise effective authority about you are those who corroborate your addiction. They are those who do not help you overcome what you need to win. Perhaps today the program is just for this. Make us think of those who live within our hearts. Who are the people who really exercise an authority over us? And from this reflection, my people, we are able to think about our process of conversion with a lot of cross, with a lot of realism. Because if we identify that our heart is housing enemies, people who are not at all interested in our personal growth, it is also a gesture of conversion to put these people in due place. Because anyone who wants to have a pure heart will have to have the courage to mess with the impurities that we so often lodge within us. First thing, strengthen yourself. You need to have a strengthened will, a safe path for you to interpret whether you are being a Christian or not, whether you are living the essence of Christian spirituality. Is you wondering how I love myself? Ready. I know we have a lot of writings. You have the Bible, that is an extensive book. Many rules, by the way. Many Old Testament rules that have been reinterpreted by Jesus, and who is unfortunately sometimes where we find Christians these days wanting to resurrect the laws of the Old Testament that Jesus somehow has already surpassed. Of course, intended, wanting somehow to find in Holy Scripture a foundation for their hatred, for their intolerances. Is there? In fact, Father Leo, wise Father Leo, said that a lot. In the Bible, you find texts that justify until the murder. If you want to murder someone and say you were in the Bible, it's there. You find such texts for it. So we often get lost without a clear understanding. What does it mean today if I want to tell the world that I am a Christian? You will have to love. You will have to love God above all things. What are these things? All. There is no exception. Your home, your money, your family, and be responsible. Then I will say why it is responsible. I know a lot of people irresponsibly, in the name of a mission, dropped the family to the background and went to live the things of the church. This happens a lot. It is another dimension. It is not dropping the responsibility of taking care of the family and getting more stuck there inside the church than taking care of home things. It's not that. It is here that the thing happens. Loving God above the job we have, the success we do, the career we built. But it seems very theoretical and difficult. No, it is not. You can value your career, for example, the success you make putting God above all this. Just understand that all that you have achieved was not only your merits. Who gave you this capacity? You developed the capabilities, but who gave you the origin? Received from your parents? Who gave to your parents? And then you arrive in an eternal search in this God that sustains us in everything. Yes, loving God on all things means you firm within you the awareness that everything you make of the wonderful, impeccable, from the human point of view, that moment when your humanity was absolutely free of everything that is petty in you. This is God's gift in. This is God fully manifested in us. So the person who sings wonderfully well, he sings knowing that that corner, that ability to sing, although it has been developed through classes and efforts, is a divine gift that it carries. This puts us in humility, simplicity, even in life with people. Who has this conscience is hardly covered by arrogance, because he knows that all the greatness he could achieve as a person has his root, his origin in God. It is God who supports me. It is God who gives me the gifts. So I love God above all things, conscious that so far as St. Augustine said, he spoke it in a beautiful, simple, and sophisticated way at the same time. When the human heart feels capable of recognizing the error he made, he is already under the influx of divine grace. Even to recognize that you have made a mistake, God has to have given an initial movement. I am not able to recognize my mistake for myself. I don't recognize my mistake. Why? My pride commands me. I have difficulty recognizing I'm fragile. So when I am able to recognize that I was wrong, recognizing that I made a mistake is because the divinity that dwells me is commanding me. So God is above all things. I'm aware that all that my intelligence provides me is only possible because God has given me intelligence. So you put God before all situation. It's not that you are a puppet he commands. No, you have free will. You would have free will to decide whether you will develop your abilities or not. This week I thought a lot about it, even made a post here on Instagram. I reflected on the potential that exists in my body, the potential that I can develop or not. Observe a child. The child is naturally lace. The child has no difficulty with the joints unless she has a disease. If she is healthy, she has skills. She has ease of movements. But as we live, if we do not stimulate the potential of the body, this potential is asleep. I can often have a conduct where I don't have time for body care. My lack of care for the body